Woman flees fast food restaurant without paying after one genius excuse. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. In the summer of 2019, one woman felt the all-too-familiar siren song of the fast food drive-thru calling her name, so she stopped at a roadside restaurant with a unique plan to fill her belly with one major snag. She didn't plan on paying the bill. Read on for the side order of controversy she served at the window. On a summer afternoon, Delilah Hernandez was feeling exceptionally hungry. The Las Cruces, New Mexico resident decided she needed a satisfying meal, and she needed it right now. No, she didn't head to the kitchen. Instead, she craved something faster and more convenient. She hopped on her bike and headed down the main drag of El Paso Road. Before long, she saw a sign high above the sidewalk. It was exactly what she was searching for. Hernandez had reached her local Sonic. Given the heat of the New Mexico summer, she decided that was the perfect place to stop for an ice-cold drink and some lunch. While the chain is known for its very large variety of drink options and crispy tater tots, Delilah wasn't exactly sure what she was going to order. Everything sounded great to her. Eventually, Hernandez decided what she wanted to eat and placed her order. In a matter of moments, the employee returned with her bag of food. There was one small hitch, however. She hadn't paid yet. When the employee asked her if she would be using cash or credit, Delilah froze. She knew that she wouldn't be able to answer the question truthfully. She didn't have the money. So rather than paying, Hernandez told the cashier that a friend would cover her meal. She appeared to be alone. However, the woman had come to Sonic on her bike. Who was going to pay? "This one's on God," Delilah explained. The cashier paused to process what she was saying. "That's not how this works," he responded, pulling the bag of food away. But the interaction was far from over. Hernandez didn't take kindly to his response, though. If God was paying, she was entitled to the food. She stepped towards the server, trying to claim what she felt was hers. Hernandez reportedly threatened the employee. In a panic, he handed over the bag and ran back inside the restaurant. Delilah took her order, hopped on her bike, and left. The server didn't give up, however. Understandably, he called the police to report what had happened. Dining and dashing is, unsurprisingly, considered a form of robbery. Delilah was technically a fugitive on the run from authorities. After a brief search, police officers found Hernandez sitting in a local park. When they confronted her, she made an unusual comment about her meal. Apparently, after all that, she had alternative plans for it. Delilah said that she felt bad about her crime and considered throwing the food away. The prospect of a juicy burger, however, was irresistible, and she finished her meal. Police still needed answers as to why she hadn't paid. Hernandez explained that she was starving and needed a way to eat. Leaving God to foot the bill seemed like a foolproof way to fill her belly. Unfortunately, that scheme left Sonic holding the bag. Delilah was arrested and charged with felony robbery. While that crime carries a steep penalty in the state of New Mexico, there was a chance that she wouldn't face the full wrath of the law. Roxanne Garcia McElmel, Public Information Officer of the 3rd District's District Attorney's Office, explained that Delilah's situation would be taken into account. In reality, she probably ended up with one specific charge on her record. Due to the fact that she only swiped a burger and fries, Hernandez's crime could be reduced to a petty misdemeanor of under $250. But what punishment would that bring? The local judge actually had several different sentencing options. Hernandez could have been ordered to pay back the restaurant or fined a small amount. There was one final punishment option, however. There was also a chance that Delilah could be leaving the courthouse without any charges. Given the value of a fast food meal and the fact that she was starving, that was probably the most reasonable option. Luckily, fast food employees are trained to deal with bizarre situations, and the moment wasn't escalated to a point of violence or threats. They go through extensive training, which covers just about every encounter imaginable. But not every encounter. Another fast food employee, Sonia Nixon Fraser, had been working at Taco Bell for 14 years. It was a job that she took very seriously. giving each and every customer equal respect and care. She never thought one sudden schedule shift would change the life of a guest. Sonia built great relationships with everyone around her, including the Clarksville Taco Bell general manager, Marquita Johnson. Marquita recognized Sonia's great work ethic and promoted her to a manager position. Sonia was typically scheduled to cover the night shift, but her boss needed to change things around in August of 2020. Marquita realized that she was going to need some help that next morning, so she asked Sonia to move her shift up by a few hours. The night owl would become an early morning owl. This was the fateful move. Sonia made the switch, and the employees working under her would be grateful to have her around when a frightening change of pace shook up the morning. Only an hour after Sonia arrived, there was some commotion outside. One employee taking drive-thru orders found it strange when the traffic came to a sudden halt. After checking the live camera footage, they came across a concerning sight. An SUV had rolled into the drive-thru at an angle, blocking traffic. There was no damage done, but everyone who was there that morning was scared for the driver of that car. He wasn't moving at all. Sonia rushed out of the building, following one of her co-workers to see what was going on with the driver. When they saw him passed out over his steering wheel, they immediately acted to save the man's life. One customer also leaped into action and approached the imperiled driver. Sonia and her co-worker pulled the passed-out man from the car and laid him on the pavement. He was still unresponsive. Sonia, who formerly worked in the medical industry, feared the worst. Sonia's co-worker called 911 right away, while all the customers watched with concern for the man's life. It would take some time before paramedics could arrive to help him. Sonia recognized that the driver was turning blue as he lay unconscious. The 911 operator asked if anyone knew CPR. Normally, there would be no risk to perform CPR, and anyone certified wouldn't hesitate. Unfortunately, this was all happening while the deadly virus of COVID-19 was spreading through the country. Touching a stranger was a big gamble. Sonia hesitated. Because of a pre-existing condition, she was even more at risk than the other people in the drive-thru. She had sarcoidosis, a rare lung disease, making her more vulnerable to the virus. That didn't stop her from going to work, and she decided it would not stop her from saving the stranger's life. Everyone at the Clarksville Taco Bell was following guidelines set by the CDC, including Sonia. But Sonia, in a swift move, chose to remove her mask and step right into the life-or-death situation. Sonia leaned in and performed CPR on the unconscious driver. It was thanks to her 6 years of experience as a healthcare worker, which included training in CPR, that gave everyone in the Taco Bell hope. They awaited for some sign of life. Then the driver gasped. Once he was talking, Sonia asked her coworkers to grab the man's license so she could know his name and speak to him in a more personal level. In between mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, she let him know everything would be all right. Then the paramedics finally arrived. It was the longest 11 minutes of Sonia's life. After all was said and done, she needed a minute to herself. Off to the side of the Taco Bell, she cried and smoked a cigarette. She would have more comfort when she returned home to her beautiful family. Sonia is a mother of 2 and set a great example for her children. In spite of the risks, she told reporters, "This is what I was supposed to do." She doesn't consider herself a hero. In an interview with CNN, Sonia expressed her ideals. "It doesn't matter who he was or what skin color he had. I knew I was there to save his life," she tells a reporter. Her boss, Marquita Johnson, was emotional about the whole ordeal, but not surprised in the slightest. Marquita also shared her thoughts and gratitude. Sonia is a genuine person, always willing to help anyone and everyone whenever she can. "She is my hero. I'm honored to be her boss." More people showed their gratitude in a different way. Word had spread about Sonia's heroism, and also how it's not the first time she saved a life. To reward Sonia for her courageous acts, a GoFundMe page was created in her honor, aiming to raise $10,000 for Sonia. Social media also helped. Sonia could never forget the face of the man she saved. Since she knew his name from his driver's license, she took to Facebook to find him and send him a message. She eagerly awaited to know how he was doing. The man replied to Sonia with immense gratitude and appreciation. He wanted to repay Sonia for the incredible deed she had done for him, but Sonia was satisfied just knowing that he was okay. When the pandemic is over, the driver and Sonia plan to meet up. With how much they mean to each other, this could be the start of a lifelong friendship, something we need more of in difficult times. Luckily, Sonia wasn't the only person willing to put their life on the line for a stranger. Halfway across the world from Sonia, an even more urgent crisis unfolded. Though the work Shamagun Nathan did was tedious, he was happy to have a job. He was from Chennai, India, but his construction job sent him to surrounding countries that needed help. That's how he ended up in Singapore. Singapore had a lot of roads that needed fixing, which put him and his co-worker P. Muthukumar in the hot sun doing back-breaking work. The day was unfolding like any other, until Shamugan realized someone nearby the site needed desperate help. Cries were coming from a housing board block on Jurong East Street, a large complex not far from where Shamugan and his crew were laying tar. The construction worker sprinted towards the commotion, and then his jaw dropped. His heart jumped to his throat as he stared at a toddler dangling off a 2-story balcony by her head. She somehow managed to wedge her head in between the railing, and she was minutes away from falling. The girl was only 3 years old, as everyone later learned. No one had any clue how she found herself in such a dangerous predicament, but Shamugun wasted no time and sprang into action. He kicked off his shoes, quickly examined a feasible route up the balcony, and began to climb towards the child. Her screams were getting louder as she started slipping through the railing. Miraculously, Shamugun's adrenaline pushed him into overdrive, and he managed to get to the girl before she fell to her death. While he held her, another worker climbed up to assist him. P. Muthukumar quickly scaled the building minutes after Shamugun and joined him, climbing over the railing so Shamugun could push the toddler back onto the balcony to safety. Then the girl's mother arrived home. When Noreen Saniri realized what happened, she was terrified to the point of sickness. She explained to the construction workers and eventually the fire department she left the young girl home alone to bring another child to school. According to the mother, the little girl was asleep when she left, and it was just a quick trip to school and back. Even if she did wake up, she had her iPad to play with. However, the girl woke up, grabbed her iPad, and ventured into the kitchen, where she opened up a door leading to the balcony. She apparently dropped the iPad and leaned through the railing to grab it. It was very unlike the toddler to wander outside. Noreen was always strict about staying inside when she wasn't supervised, but it's in a child's nature to let curiosity take hold. A video of the incident captured by a witness immediately went viral, and although Shamugun and his co-workers were praised, the exact opposite happened to the girl's parents. People were quick to point out their irresponsibility. In an emotional interview given by Noreen, she recognized the harsh comments people left on the video, but she tried to explain no one knew the whole situation. Shamugun weighed in. Naturally, Shamugun was thrilled everything turned out okay. He said, "If I were there a little later, there was a chance of the baby slipping." His rescue partner also had plenty to say about the successful operation. "The baby stopped crying and looked happy as we were pulling. When she stopped crying, we were so happy. I believe in paying it forward," Muthukumar said. Both men were even honored after the dust finally settled. Not only were they immediately inducted into the Vigilante Hall of Fame, but the Singapore Civil Defense Force also presented them both with Public Spiritedness Awards for their bravery and willingness to risk their lives for someone in need. As you can imagine, the toddler's parents learned some hard lessons that day. First, they'll never leave her home alone again, and even if they are home, that kitchen door leading out to the balcony must stay locked. Shamugun and Muthukumar were incredibly humble about the whole experience. They were simply doing what was necessary in the moment. Ordinary heroes have made life-saving decisions across the world. For instance, when Logan Simmons was a 19-year-old living just north of Atlanta, Georgia, he'd taken a fast food job working as a manager of a Chick-fil-A. He was also earning his real estate license, hoping to turn his interest in the housing market into a full-time career. Chick-fil-A is known for great service. It's frequently hailed as one of the most polite chains in the country. And while Logan was well-versed in the company's customer service practices, nothing could have prepared him for his next interaction with a mother and her child. Logan was standing in the kitchen preparing for the dinner rush when a car pulled up to the drive-thru window. Something was different, though. This car wasn't full of hungry customers demanding some fresh chicken sandwiches. Logan could see a woman driving the car and a small child fidgeting in the back. The pair seemed to be communicating with each other, but the conversation seemed very frantic. Something strange was going on. See, even with limited context, the employees could tell the child wasn't asking for soda or pleading for a kid's meal complete with a toy. Whatever he wanted, his mother wasn't quite sure how to handle it. In the middle of this interaction, she pulled up to the drive-thru window to speak to the employees. That's why her situation became clear. Instead of wanting a soda or chicken, she and her son wanted help, and quickly. Somehow, the boy had gotten tangled in his seatbelt and was struggling to breathe. Even worse, like a desperate animal, his frantic attempts to free himself were actually tightening the belt around his neck. The panicked woman was hoping that someone in the restaurant would be able to save her child, but the workers were stunned. Saving a little boy was a bit different than frying chicken and serving drinks. Logan saw this all unfolding. You could see the boy struggling and getting tighter and tighter, Logan said. He was turning red and losing pigmentation in his face. The manager knew someone had to act quickly. There was an issue, however: location. Logan was in the kitchen with the rest of his team while the boy was struggling in a car idling outside the restaurant. If Logan ran out the front door, it would be too late. So Logan sprung into action, literally. He took a step back to brace himself and then climbed through the drive-thru window. It was a tight squeeze, but afterward he was standing in front of the car. Chick-fil-A employees frequently go above and beyond, but asking Logan to save a life went beyond anything taught in the employee handbook. Still, the child was still struggling, so in a moment of desperation, Logan asked the woman for permission to do something crazy. Logan quickly grabbed for his trusty pocket knife. He hacked and sawed at the belt, but it proved sturdy. It was tough to cut through. He kept at it, cutting for seconds that surely felt like hours. I cut it down, and he laid back in the seat, and I was immediately like, "Hey, are you okay?" Logan told the Gainesville Times. He was crying then, and I knew he was breathing perfectly fine if he could cry. Logan's quick thinking didn't go unnoticed. I'm amazed he didn't panic, Logan's mother Terry explained. As his mother, I would have panicked. I'd be running around, going, "Oh my gosh, what do we do?" Logan, however, had an unexpected response. Rather than accept his new fame, Logan was quick to deflect it. While he had done something amazing, he hadn't done it seeking fame or a TV interview. His main concern was something bigger. Ever the manager, Logan was mainly concerned with keeping everyone safe. "I'm just so thankful everyone is okay," he told USA Today. "I'm still a little shocked by what happened, but I'm grateful as I was able to help." Despite that sentiment, Logan was still being hailed as a hero. And while locals didn't gather to watch him soar across the sky, his actions did bring more attention than he was prepared to handle. Logan explained that in addition to all of the press coverage, people were cheering for him and shouting his name in the streets. Some locals have even visited the restaurant for a chance to thank him in person. As word about his heroism spread, Logan's admirers put together a fundraiser for him, hoping to raise money for Logan to buy his own car. That would go a long way in helping lock down a career in real estate. Logan's got another plan to help him there, though. In light of recent events, Logan is considering asking for a raise, and while Chick-fil-A didn't train him on how to save lives, he's definitely taken their customer service to new heights, though he has competition. Like most people living alone, 99-year-old Stephen Bellissimo enjoyed his routine. Every day he buttoned up a collared shirt, slid into a blazer, and when he felt hungry, drove to his favorite restaurant in Oldsmar, Florida. The restaurant, about 6 miles outside of Tampa, wasn't far from his home. It didn't serve juicy steaks, and it wasn't a diner with one friendly waitress who served never-ending free coffee, but he loved it all the same. Stephen couldn't get enough of the classic fried chicken sandwich with 2 pickles and a buttered bun from his local Chick-fil-A. And there, the man nearing his 100th birthday developed quite a reputation. Because every day for nearly 20 years, he ordered the same meal and sat in the same booth for hours without fail. For the employees, he became a beacon of comfort, the kindly man you just knew would smile at you. They called him Mr. Steve. "Stephen makes everyone here feel loved and welcomed," Chick-fil-A marketing director Brittany Kraft said. He told anyone who would listen that he wanted nothing more than to live to be 100. But just before his 100th birthday, he suffered an accident. Either through an act of carelessness or feebleness, Stephen fell down. While the fall didn't induce any life-threatening damage, the rest of Stephen's family started worrying. Could the aging man live on his own anymore? After some hard conversations, Stephen did what was best for his health and moved in with his son. He lived far from the Chick-fil-A, and soon Stephen's 6 weekly visits were reduced to just 1 on Friday afternoons. On that day, Stephen ordered his chicken sandwich, sat in his same booth, and stayed for hours. On the other days, employees glanced hopefully at Mr. Steve's empty booth, waiting for a man who wouldn't be coming. And while happy he still had the strength to eat his favorite chicken after his fall, Stephen longed for his daily talks with the fast food employees he'd grown so fond of. So when his 100th birthday finally arrived, he knew just where he wanted to go. On September 21st, 2018, Stephen and his son went to that old smart Chick-fil-A. The 100-year-old led the way, excited to be in his favorite place, but the restaurant looked different. Eyes wide, Stephen looked around the restaurant where he'd spent about 20,000 hours of his life over the past 2 decades. "Oh my God," he said, incredulous. "What's going on?" Dozens of helium-filled red balloons bobbed against the ceiling, party hats sat atop the tables, and a giant cardboard check clung to the back wall, and a bright banner hung above a window just beside the front counter. And before Stephen could get a full grasp on his surroundings, Chick-fil-A employee Brittany Kraft, cheered on by a few well-dressed guests, wrapped the 100-year-old up in a tight, sincere hug. Only then did he read the banner. It read, "Happy 100th birthday, Mr. Steve." Soon, Stephen was enveloped in love by Chick-fil-A employees and restaurant guests who frequently visited Stephen at his booth. But there was even more to the celebration. With a hand on his shoulder, Brittany delivered the grand finale. "Mr. Steve," she said, "we want to give you Chick-fil-A for the rest of your life. You're getting it for free." "I come here to eat Chick-fil-A for free?" he clarified. When she said yes, his smile could have warmed a Scandinavian winter. "My God," he said, "this is the best gift I could have ever received." But the elderly man had one concern. "Can I get my same booth?" he asked with delight. Of course he could, and birthday cake, gifts, and a card with handwritten messages from restaurant employees. Stephen was overwhelmed. But it was Brittany and the Chick-fil-A staff's pleasure to throw the surprise party. "It's so heartwarming to watch him affect everyone here," she said. Stephen, meanwhile, wasn't going to let his gift go to waste. Still smiling and perhaps thinking of a chicken sandwich with 2 pickles on a buttered bun, the 100-year-old man announced, "Instead of coming once a week, now I'm coming every day."